Morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Fine, I hope. So I haven't been on for a bit there. It's been a little bit hectic in the old Grizz world, but there's that old fence that I built with the pallets. It's done and painted up. It's going to get some funky stuff on it, if not this fall and the spring. This is an old slider door on one of my storage units there. It was dark chocolate brown, and I always hated it, but I'm kind of digging this color here. But anyway, that's not what I was here to talk about today. We're going to talk about the big world of sonotubes. Woo! So, what I'm doing here is I've got this guy here, and if you could see that other little piece of metal sticking out of the ground over there past the buckets, is these are a couple footings I poured. I'm going to put, if you've ever seen pictures of my house, I have 4 really tall pillars with flowers on top of them. So I'm going to do a shorter version of that here down at the shop. So what I've done to prepare is I've dug a 3-foot hole and dropped an 8-inch sonotube down in there. And the bottom foot is filled with gravel and then 2 feet of concrete. But before I did, I pounded in this rebar stake through the bottom, so it's I'll show you what's going to happen when I show you the other pieces inside there. So that's the one there, and that's the other footing over there. And I'll be doing a vid pretty soon. I'm digging a bigger one over here for another project. It's something completely different, but I'll get into that when I get closer. So anyway, I'm just going to pause the vid. We'll go inside and we'll talk more. Okie doke, back into the shop again. So here we go. That's the sonotubes that I've got for those 2 units there. Usually I wouldn't make them so tall, but just because it's going to be a single pillar, I didn't want to make 2. I thought would look kind of funny if it had a division line. So they're 32 inches tall, those 2 over there. And this is going to be the base. And I've used this one before. All it was a cheap plastic planter. Sorry, it's really early. Plastic planter, and all I did was cut the bottom off of it and just siliconed it down onto just this piece of plywood here. And then I'm going to make it hollow. So this is a 4-inch center I have in here that's siliconed in. And then these 2, I'll do that quick this morning. Got 3-inch to go. It's just because what I had in the center of each of those. And the reason why I'm putting a hollow core in is, you remember the rebar sticking up out of the footing? Well, this is so I can slide this over top of that rebar and then slide those on as well over top of the rebar. And then what I do is I backfill this hollow part with the rebar sticking through. I backfill with concrete. It's just, I did it at the house too. It's just, they're secure, but you just worry about something happening and they tilt or someone takes a run at it. And especially out back, it's a pretty public area where we take tours on, and I did with kids, etc. And I just don't want something to happen that somebody leans on it or bumps it. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but just so I have peace of mind, I know it's anchored really secure. The other reason for the footing is here in the northern climates, you're going to get frost heaves and frost movement. So if you just poured a small concrete pad and set these on top, over a few years it's going to shift and shimmy, and you don't want your pillar looking all crooked. So this just ensures that for years and years I'm going to have a nice straight pillar sitting out back. So that's going to be the base. That's the middle. Then I'm going to design myself like a Tuscan style capital that's going to go on top of here. And then there'll be a square piece on top of that, and then a large concrete leaf bowl on top of that with flowers. And it'll be on either side of the driveway going up into the back of the shop there. So sonotubes, what can I tell you? I have 6s, 8s, 10s, and 12s is what I have up there and over here. They get huge. Like in the back there, I think I've got some 32s and 22s, and I think the sky's the limit. You can order from a commercial place the size you want. I get these just down at Home Depot, or Rona has them, or Lowe's in the States has them. Just one thing to mention, if you use, like, they come in handy for lots of little things. Like sometimes I have leftover concrete, I'll make just short ones, and they're great for just setting a planter on, or a pot out in the garden, just to give it a little bit of a lift. I usually have a bunch in the store just for people to buy for a little extra. You sell them really cheap, so, and you get rid of your old concrete. To store these guys, even though I have some up top like that, and when you buy them in the store, you'll see them, they're like this as well. The best is actually to stand them up. I'm going to be moving all of mine out to a different storage unit, because what happens is I had some up top and they develop a flat spot and it gets a crease, and you can't get that crease out, and it's a real pain in the butt. So you just wind up tossing it out because you can't have a pillar that's oval shaped. So it's best to store them standing up. The other thing I can tell you about these guys is that you have to be careful is, even though they say 10 inches or 12 inches or 8 inches, they aren't actually always that size. Like this is a 10-inch top on here, so I want something to match, and this is exactly a 10-inch across the top of this one here, or it's just out by like a 1/16. But they can range from so that's a 10. They can range from 9 3/4 inches to 10 1/4 inches, because they stack them inside of each other. They sleeve them inside. So be really careful if you're getting a project and you know you want to make a pillar and it's going to match something that's a 10-inch top. Take your tape with you and make sure you get the one that's a 10-inch and not the, because it'll look ridiculous. There's a 1/2-inch swing, right, on the sizing, and it will look ridiculous when you put it on top of this and you've got like an inch or a 1/2-inch overhang on there. So just something to be aware of the wise, and that goes for 12 inches and the 22s. They all stack them inside of each other, so there's a 1/2-inch difference. So just make sure you get the one that's closest to the project you want, the sizing wise. So anyway, just a quick vid telling you what I've been up to, and we'll talk to you all later.